A borrowing of 10,000 Kenyan shillings is enough to put you into the trap of debt. Stick around to find out how. Welcome to Coaching for Dominion, the space where we learn life skills, pursue purpose, and have dominion in every area of our lives. My name is Victor Kibet. The borrower is a slave to the lender. That is the word of God in Proverbs chapter 22, verse 7. And today I'm going to demonstrate through a simple example how true that statement or that word of God is. I'm going to use a very simple example and assume that a person earning 50,000 Kenyan shillings and having a budget or living expenses of 50,000 shillings is engaged or takes a debt of 10,000 Kenyan shillings, and we see the impact of that. Now we are going to assume that this is a salary advance and that this person's only income is salary income, which is the case with many people. And you're going to assume that this loan will attract a 10% interest per month, and it will be repaid at the end of each month. So at the first month of January, this person is receiving 50,000 as the salary. Cash at the beginning is 50,000. So we assume this is the salary that they received at the end of December, in the end of December. Now come January, they are starting with 50,000. And as we have said, their living expenses is 50,000. So they have no problem, and their expenses and income is the same. When February comes, the salary for January is what the person is starting with the month of February, and that is 50,000. But now in this month, this person, there's an emergency that occurs in his life, and it could be also not an emergency, but just something that they decided to spend on. Maybe it was not even necessary. And we see that this person now will need to borrow 10,000 Kenyan shillings to take care of that need, because the salary of 50,000 is spent or is budgeted for the last coin. Now, from this table, we can see that this person is earning 50,000 and there is a salary advance of 10,000. So the total will be 60,000 money in. Money out, we see a living expenses of 50,000, emergency 10,000, and then 10,000 is the deduction for the loan that they borrowed, and that is the principal amount. And then below it we see the interest now for that money, which is 10%. Now we can see that the total amount that is going out is 71,000. So what does this tell us? That this person is going to be in a deficit position. Why? Because there is a salary advance that needs to be recovered together with the interest. Now, when 50,000 comes in as the salary, the bank will deduct 11,000. And so there will be a balance of 39,000. So when March starts, this person will start that month with 39,000 in terms of cash. But since their living expenses is 50,000, they will need to borrow 11,000 so that that amount will be able to sustain them through the month. Now, when that happens, they have now to borrow 11,000, and you see the previous month they borrowed 10,000. Now, what has happened? This person is borrowing more, and you see now the interest is going up from 1,000 to 1,100. And the amount borrowed has gone from 10,000 to 11,000. Now, the total money which is going out is 62,000 against an income of 50,000, which is that 9,000 plus the salary advance of 11,000. Now we see again, when they receive their salary of 50,000, there will be a deduction of 12,100 and 100. And so March will close with 37,900 being the cash that is available for use. Now, the same thing will happen in April. The person now is starting April with a smaller amount. It is now 37,900. And this will go on and on and on unless something happens. And you can see, just if you look at the first row of the money in section, the cash at the beginning of the month is going down. In June, it is 35,000. In August, it is 32,000. In October, it is 28,000. And by the end of the year, December, it starts with 24,000 and 63 shillings. Again, the amount of the loan is increasing, the repayment amount. You can see the first month was 10,000. By May, it is 13,000. By August, it is 17,000. And by December, it is 25,000. The interest again is going up from 1,000 in February to 1,600 in July to 2,100 in October and 2,594 in December. Now, those are the things that indicate or show us that there is a problem here. Let us jump to the month of December. By the time we are in December, the salary at the end of November 1st, the November ends with a salary of course, the usual salary is 50,000, but deductions is 25,937, and so there is a balance. The cash that the person will take to December is 24,063. Now, in December, they have to borrow 25,937 to bring a total of 50,000, which is already, it means they're already borrowing more than 50% of the salary that they started with at the start of the year. Now, going down, you see that this person will close the month of December with cash of 21,469. So we are assuming that this is the cash that the person will start the next year with. Now, if this person continues like this, in a few months, even before the end of the next year, this person will not be able to operate. He will not totally be able to manage his finances. He is already in a trap of debt. Now, if you look at the interest from the first month up to the last month of December, cumulatively, it is 18,531. And that is what's eating up this person's money. The interest of 18,531 is what has been paid without this person earning any more money, any extra money. And in addition to that, of course, there is the 10,000 which the person keeps borrowing, and it keeps recurring to fill that gap in their finances. Now, this is how a person lands in the trap of debt. And it is something I like encouraging people, especially who are on their first job, not to engage in debt that they really do not need. Debt should be taken where it is extremely necessary, and in the best loan or debt to engage is debt that you can use for production, debt that can bring you money. Now, of course, there are things in life that happen that they are beyond our control, so we cannot really blame people all the time. Like this scenario that we have used has only assumed that there was an emergency or only one emergency in a whole year. But we know our life happens. Many things come unexpectedly, and we have to respond to them. Now, this tells us that we cannot rely on a single source of income, or we cannot live on a budget that has no buffer, that has no room to take care of uh, emergencies, or even something to save for the future. So this person needs to find a way of raising more money, whether it is monetizing their skills, looking for a side hustle, whatever it is. It is the only way that they are able to redeem themselves. Otherwise, the way this person is proceeding, there is a disaster waiting for this person. Now, the last lesson from this is that short-term debt is expensive. You see, this person is required to repay the loan at the end of each month, and the interest rate is 10% per month, which is 120% per year. And there are many people in this scenario. And this one is even better because there are people who are dealing with Shylocks. And Shylocks will charge you in the region of 20,000 per week, not per month, but per week. So there are people who are in very difficult situations. Now, short-term debt should be just taken when it is really necessary. It cannot be avoided. So otherwise, I hope you have learned something. I hope this was helpful to you. Visit our website www.coachingfordominion to learn more about us. Let us engage also in our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and of course here in Facebook. Thank you very much for coming this far with us. Till next time, bye bye.